Oh crap. Okay, hold on. I didn't see you guys there. I didn't know y'all were about this life, this Super Smash Brothers life. I'm totally joking. This was totally planned because I'm a planner, of course. But yeah, so today, I wanted to share with you something that I've been experiencing recently when it comes to sleep and play and all this other OP stuff, right? For me, objective personality is something that I want to use to really improve my life and get, to be honest, to get a competitive advantage over everyone else who doesn't use it to its full effect, right? One of the most crucial aspects of objective personality is the last animal, right? Where those who do their last animal are at a competitive advantage, whereas people who don't do their last animal tend to create a large amount of life problems that they don't even notice, but everyone else does, right? And so, I've been trying to do sleep according to the definitions, but have been running into trouble but I guess I am finding, some almost childlike ways to engage with it, much like the one that you saw at the beginning of this clip, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the definitions. I'm going to share with you my experience, and then, just talk to you about, if you're demon sleep or sleep last, heaven forbid, maybe some things you can do. So starting off, this is the checklist. These are half of these are my definitions, but ignore that. For the sake of this conversation, I did use official OP definitions, one from the class notes checklist and one from the beginner series. So if you guys aren't aware of that, feel free to check those out. But my savior, so I'm play, consume, blast, sleep, last in the system. So that means I'm double activated on play and last and sleep. So what that means is, let's start with play. So play is my primary addiction, let's say, and that is defined as I'm addicted to rediscovering info, pinging the tribe, staying unresolved on things, expending energy. But really more fundamentally, I would actually argue that this is the more important definition, which I'll put above later. But I'm addicted to getting things done while learning from the tribe, or as some sources say, I learn with others. So my addiction is, and this would be something that I would do a lot, and continue to do. But especially last year in the OP community, like I would be in like every single Discord, and I would be pinging my friends, and I would be asking them questions that I probably knew the answer to, and I would talk for hours on a VC about some shit, and it was fun. I mean, in a weird, overdone sort of way, but I mean, it was fun. But what ended up happening is, unsurprisingly, I would burn myself out. I would annoy myself and everyone else who I would interact with that amount of frequency. And so, the solution, at least on paper, is to do sleep, right? But what does that mean? So sleep, I'm going to start with the more fundamental definition, which is stopping and going over known information, right? Learning via repetition. And some of the symptoms would be having a more processed state, being more self-reflective, being more resolved, and putting on the brakes. And on paper, that looks fine. And, I'm like, oh yeah, I could do that. I'll take breaks throughout the day, blah, blah, blah. But I think more specifically, this going over known information is what's leading to like an almost allergic reaction in me. It's like, I just can't do it for more than 10 seconds. Like, so for example, today, I put on a timer. I'm like, okay, well, let me just put on, let me just do this for 25 minutes. It's not a hard definition. Let me just find information that I already know and just look at it. And it was like, I was fine for the first 2 minutes maybe, but then once it got to minute 3, 4, 5, and then obviously 10 and 25, my body was like, I could see myself channel changing. I was like flipping through pages with like this obsessiveness, like, and I'm like, what the hell is my problem? Like, why is there such a compulsion to switch it up, right? And then also there was just this notion of like, it was almost like a painful level of boredom. It's like, I already know this, like, let me fucking move on. That was kind of the feeling that I would have when I would review known information, let's say. And so what the hell is going on there? I think for starters, what Dave and Shan say about the last animal is correct. In fact, I forgot to pull that up, but I'll just share with you a screenshot of so this is their class. If you guys are in the class, I'm really great. They have 2 really good Q&As on this. This is the first one, doing the last animal, where they kind of give you examples, which is great. And they start, it's embarrassing, but they do start with the sleep last ENFP, Owen Cook. And like, I don't know if this is loading, but if you watch it, I'm not going to play the clip. I do want to just show you some screenshots of it. But if you look at Owen,
that's not going to happen.
he's like screaming. Let me mute this. He's screaming and he's like, oh my God, the government's gonna, isn't gonna take care of you. There's no incentive system. And he looks fucking insane, right? And this is apparently the FI version of me. So I apparently look like this half the time. Oh my God. So that's embarrassing. But, this first Q&A, besides embarrassing the fuck out of me, gives really, 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 really good clarity on what is going on from, let's say, an objective standpoint. So whether you know it or not, or whether I know it or not, even though I blame 99.999% of my problems on my SI, my last animal, or my last function, sorry, it's actually because I'm not putting in time into my last animal, which is sleep. So it's like they're basically advocating for something that I love when they do this, is like the trusting the math. They're like, even if you don't see it, just have faith that most of your problems are coming from the last animal, and then just put in hours into that. And so they give examples as to what that would look like for each animal. And then the second one, I'm gonna have to search it again, but the second one that's really good, in my opinion, is, I wanna say it's this one. And I'm gonna probably make some future content on the concepts here. But basically, all you really need to see is this, where they talk about your last animal is contained or nested in all of your other animals. So in order for you to access your last animal, obviously work on it, but what ends up happening is as you work on it, it forces you to grow in all of the other three categories, right? And just because it's like your body is like, it's almost like it's wired to go through it in a certain order. And, and just from let's say a subjective standpoint, it's wired to use this as a last resort. So when you force it to grow, just imagine this circle growing, it would force all of the other circles to grow. So in my case, plays this huge one, consumes the second one, blast is the third one, and sleep is right here. And so for me, what ends up happening is, much like me making this video, when I work on my sleep, I inevitably start blasting a lot more. It happens a lot more. And I think it's just because of that, just almost, one, that allergic reaction, and two, it's like my blast is like, man, can I offload some of this pressure to do this painful last animal for you? And so that kind of happens for me. And that's what's been happening, like I've been trying to go over the same info, and it's like everything in my body wants to run away from looking at the same shit, like everything. And it will do anything within its power to distract me. But there are two things that I've been doing that I think have been helping me get through this. One is to create playlists in a way that align with my values, right? So, for me, it's like there are several things that I believe in. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future, right? I do believe that who you surround yourself with is going to inevitably affect your mindsets, the behavior that you believe is normal or desirable to do. So it's like, and I don't have that many, let's say, friends in real life that I admire, to be quite honest. So it's like I created a playlist of a tribe, right? A TE tribe that my let's say my sleep is willing to look over once in a while. Smelling the leather, similar concept, but rather than people, it's environment. So I do believe that surrounding yourself by a certain environment, even if it's via video, will recondition you to, let's say, the hidden values or beliefs or behaviors associated with that environment, and then you'll recreate that. Jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, I'm just trying to get my self-defense up. Tiny wins, you guys who know me, you guys already know about that shit. And then there's several other things. And so these playlists, and then what I end up doing, like, so for example, if you look at this one, this is like 368 fucking videos. So there is still a gathering component to all of these, right? Where it's like, I'm still like getting enough variety to where it's not completely boring, but it's to the point where it's like, I've probably rewatched multiple videos in there, like, at least once, right? And so there is still enough. So it's like balancing the variety that I seem to want, that channel changing that I seem to want, with a consistent, like, I've seen these before. So there's a balance there. And then the second thing I do is just straight up, I have to be a little kid with this shit, right? So it's like, for me, Super Smash Bros. Like, let me rephrase. For me, what I mean by that is I like any known information that makes me excited or makes me interested in the way that I was like when I was a little kid and had wonder and admiration for the world. That emotion or positive emotions like that seem to allow me to stay in that sleep process longer than if I'm just reading like a book that's boring, or if I'm reading, like, doing some intellectual bullshit, right? So, this is an example. I used to play Super Smash Brothers. For those of you guys who don't know, y'all can still catch these hands actually, but I don't play as much anymore, but the emotion and the positivity that I guess I associated with this time in life is something that encourages me. So when I go back over this known information, it tends to lead to more positive emotions, and then it encourages me to do more serious, information review, right? So basically hijacking or hacking my emotions to be more positive and associate going over known information with positivity, right? And so in conclusion, this shit sucks. Like, I'm not gonna fucking lie to you. I hate it. It's still, even with all of these tips and tricks, it's still something that I'm realizing on a deep level that I don't want to do. And I didn't even realize how much I didn't want to do it until I started doing it. So I guess in that sense, I'm treating it like a muscle, where I'm training it and putting more pressure on it every day, and hopefully over time it will become more comfortable, and then preferably over time I'll stop creating the life problems that I can't even see, right? Because I'm not even seeing the value of sleep, nor am I seeing why sleep would lead to problems if you don't do it, right? So I'm hoping that I can clean that up over time. And then for any of you guys who are sleep last, I mean, mine is SF, so mine's SF sleep, sorry. So it's going to be a little bit different for anyone else who's not on my quadra. But if you're sleep last, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. It's always been the tiny wins. You got to put in the hours, right? You have to put in physical practice into stopping and going over known information. I don't care if you understand it intellectually. I don't care if you think you do it. You need to break out some time in the day and force yourself to look at something you already know about, right? And only by doing that will you realize just how much you hate sleep, one. And then two, by doing that, you're going to start that process of building that muscle. And I think for me, one thing I haven't mentioned is one thing that's really valuable about sleep too, that I'm slowly appreciating, is sleep allows you to review information, and there actually is a beauty in that. Usually when I review information, I actually learn something new because I missed it the first time around or the second time around. So there is a hidden variety in sleep if you're patient enough. So especially if you're addicted to OE like me, just be patient and go over it, and maybe have like the mindset of, I must have missed something, right? Because if you have that, then the variety, that desire is still going to be there, and you'll find it, right? You'll find something new in that, because it's like, there's no way you're going to get everything on the first round, right? So anyway, this was a longer video. I know it's a little kind of awkward beginning and stuff like that, but I'm working on it. But hope you guys are doing well. And feel free to leave a comment, like, and all that YouTube shit, like and subscribe and all that. And then I will continue making videos, but until then, I hope you guys are doing well, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.